everyone, my name is Marissa and today we're going to be talking about feedback and reinforcement. There's a couple main types of feedback that we're going to cover to start with. First we're going to go over knowledge of results, knowledge of performance, and then proprioception is last. First of all, to start with knowledge of results, this is an extremely important type of feedback when you're teaching somebody a new motor skill. It's basically their end goal, their end thing that they're trying to reach. It tells them what this outcome should look like once they have learned it thoroughly. So for our example, we're going to be talking about the traditional body weight squat. No weights, no other complications, just a traditional squat. Knowledge of results of this would basically be the form that the athlete needs to be in once they get down in a squat and then once they come up. Now the whole idea of a squat is to lift yourself back up, lift weight. But a big portion of the squat that a lot of people mess up is the getting down far enough, having their placement right, having their form and their technique correct. So knowledge of results tells them what that's supposed to look like, what the squat's going to look like when they're all done. So to demonstrate, I'm going to have my feet shoulder width apart for a traditional squat. Now knowledge of results basically gives this athlete what the squat's going to look like. So we're going to get down, slowly squat down, and back up. That is a traditional squat. Now the main things here that the athlete's going to have to look out for are making sure their feet are shoulder width apart, making sure they're squatting back and down rather than bending over. These are just a couple things that they need to keep an eye on. And with that knowledge of results, they're going to be able to do that. Knowledge of performance, on the other hand, is what gets them there progressively. Knowledge of performance basically tells the athlete, hey, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this right, and this is how to proceed. Say I'm learning a traditional squat. I squat down, I get about this far, and I can't go any further. I come back up. Now, my coach or my trainer would be telling me, hey, your performance is not up to par with a traditional squat, how it's supposed to be performed. So they're going to tell me, hey, you need to get down to 90 degrees at least to perform a proper squat. So then I would learn, practice, and we'd be able to perform that proper squat. Knowledge of performance gives that athlete those stepping stones so that they can learn it. Basically, it gives them the errors that they have along the way and what they're going to need to work on. Along with that, super important, especially when learning a squat, is proprioception. This is basically the body's self-awareness. It's awareness of its location, of its movements, of how it's performing, especially with a squat, because there's so many areas where we can go wrong and so many areas where the athlete can make a simple error, and the more that they learn, the more that they practice, they'll be able to have that self-awareness to determine if they're performing it correctly or not without having to have a coach's feedback there. This gives them their own feedback internally to learn the move and make sure they're always performing it correctly. So for squat, part of that proprioception would be, are my feet shoulder width apart? Am I squatting down at 90 degrees? Do I feel that the correct muscles are being worked? All this awareness helps the athlete get feedback and helps them improve. So that's how we have feedback in motor skill learning. And the next topic we're going to cover is reinforcement. Now, reinforcement is also extremely important when you're teaching someone a new motor skill. Internal, external, positive, negative, there's so many different types. The ones we're going to go over today are different types of internal, different types of external, and whether negative reinforcers are a good idea. So to start out with, internal reinforcement. This is what gives the athlete drive, motivation. It's what makes them want to go do that workout, want to perform at their best, want to win that race. It's what gives them that internal drive. And this could be a ton of different things. It's whatever motivates the athlete. Maybe my motivation is to lose weight, so that's why I want to go work out. Maybe my motivation is self-efficacy, so I want to go get healthy. I want to perform at my best. Maybe I simply want to just feel good about myself or feel healthy or feel energetic. These are all internal reinforcers that keep us coming back, keep us performing, and keep us improving. As far as external reinforcement, that's reinforcement that comes from an external source, like an outsider, like a coach or a trainer, someone cheering you on, someone telling you do this, don't do this, and how to proceed with your training, with your performance. So external reinforcements, that would be like if your coach told you, great job today at practice, that would keep you coming back, you'd feel good about yourself, and that positive reinforcement would make you want to keep performing at that level. Your coach might say, if you run this fast enough, then you can have the day off tomorrow. That's a positive reinforcement. That's an external reinforcement. It's some outside person giving you a reason to perform at a certain level, giving you that motivation and that reason to go on. So that's some examples of external reinforcement. Another side of external reinforcement is negative reinforcers. This is usually from an external source. That's kind of when we see it the most is with punishments. People don't like to use that word, but a lot of times that's what it is, especially in athletics, especially in team sports. Athletes will get punished, they'll get negative reinforcers that encourage certain behavior or certain performance. Let's say the athlete shows up late to practice or doesn't perform up to par or slacks off. They might get threatened with a negative reinforcer. They might have to go run laps, or they might have to do a couple extra sets. They might have to, usually it's physical. It could be taking away something too. It could be a punishment of taking away something that they earned or something. Anything negative that would keep them from performing subpar. It would motivate them to perform at their very best. These can have advantages and disadvantages. Some people respond really well to negative reinforcers, some people don't. So it's up to the coach and the trainer to determine what their athletes need and what's going to make them do their best, what's going to drive them and motivate them. That being said, some people respond excellently to negative reinforcers. Some people, the threat of punishment, the threat of running laps is what gets them going, is what motivates them. Along with that, there's always a risk when you're doing physical labor type of punishment. If your athlete is exhausted at the end of the workout and you don't feel that they did a good enough job, so you make them run laps, you're risking injury, you're risking further exhaustion. So you have to keep an eye out on what's best for your athlete and make the best decisions with that. So that wraps up our lesson for today. We went over feedback and reinforcement. Hopefully you guys learned something. Thanks a lot.